Tonight on the South Today, calls for a long-term plan for Karatane Harbour from the Community Board after recent storm damage. An ice hockey playing police dog handler chalks up a significant milestone with his club. And a Dunedin man has been turning heads after his exposure while tackling a charity fundraising exercise. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Phil Vaughan. Storms and sea level rise have been taking a toll on Karatane Harbour just north of Dunedin. The local community board says more needs to be done to understand the effects of climate change on the area and wants an integrated management plan.
A rising tide of challenges. The growing threat of climate change means Karatane Harbour could face more emergency events in the future, from storms and rising sea levels. Waikouaiti Coast Community Board member Andy Barrett believes a clear plan is needed for the harbour area.
What the Community Board is actually asking for is for the DCC and probably with the Regional Council as well to come up with an integrated management plan for the harbour here.
Recent flood events washed away more of the harbour spit near the end of the Waikouaiti beach.
The last flooding event here had the effect of giving us a very, very fast river flow. Most people said that it was as fast as they think they'd ever seen.
Flooding over recent years has left a popular walkway from the wharf towards the peninsula very seriously damaged.
The problem with that is it's not just a walkway, but actually a sewage pipe runs along underneath that track.
A concrete sleeve has been installed around one part of the pipe as a short-term fix, but other parts are now at risk of becoming exposed. The Community Board are putting together information for the city and regional councils and hope to get a response soon around definite plans to deal with the long-term issues. In Karatane, the South Today.
Nominations for the local body elections closed today, with a large number of hopefuls throwing their hat in the ring for council positions. There was a flurry of last-minute nominations at the Dunedin City Council's office before they closed at midday. The final tally has 9 people standing for the Dunedin mayoralty. There's also 34 people standing for the 14 seats on Dunedin's City Council. However, joining the 6 community boards has proved less popular. Each board has 6 vacancies, meaning no election for the Waikouaiti Coast Community Board, with the 6 nominated people duly elected. However, Saddle Hill and West Harbour had fewer than 6 nominations each, meaning a by-election will need to be held for those boards. Veteran Dunedin ice hockey player Regan Wilson is preparing to celebrate an impressive career milestone. The sport can be a lucrative career in some parts of the world. However, for Regan Wilson, a 4-legged crime-fighting partner has kept him professionally engaged in his day job.
Seeing a police dog ice skating isn't a typical occurrence, even for a police dog handler. Ice hockey player Regan Wilson decided to take his operational dog Van out on the ice for the first time this week. Wilson suits up for the Phoenix Dunedin Thunder ice hockey team and will this weekend celebrate playing more than 150 games with the club. He's fairly fresh-faced, although not quite as much as when he began playing at age 16. But the defenceman has no immediate plans to quit.
I think I'll play until they kick me out. I'll play until either I can't keep up or the body can't keep up.
With Officer Wilson being a dog handler by day and heating up the ice with his stick during the hockey season, he's grateful he has an understanding boss.
Just juggling work hours and playing ice hockey, so it manages to work out and use a bit of leave here and there to make it fit, but it does work out.
Wilson's represented New Zealand with the Ice Blacks, which he hopes to do again before he hangs up the stick. In the meantime, he's focused on his day job, which he feels blessed to have.
I love it. For me, it was always the dream. I pretty much joined the police with the ambition to become a dog handler, and I've never looked back. Absolutely love it. Love every day. I always say to people, if I won lotto, I'd still go to work.
As for the Thunder, the club's hoping for a large crowd to help celebrate Regan Wilson's 150th achievement.
It's hard to, over 150, I'd say it's pretty hard to put a finger on one moment.
With matches on Friday and Saturday nights against the Botany Swarm at the Dunedin Ice Stadium. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A business case has been put forward to ease the risk of severe flooding in Westport over the next 100 years. The proposal comes after parts of the town were badly damaged in floods last year. The plan would include stop bank work along the Buller River, along with stormwater management in Westport itself, with the construction of new pump stations. It's hoped the $54 million price tag would be largely funded by the government. Meanwhile, geotechnical investigations in Southland suggest stop banks along the Matilda River may be at a higher risk of flooding than originally thought. Environmental Southland's plans to host meetings in Matilda, Gore and Wyndham to discuss the issues with residents. People often do all sorts of worthy things to raise money for charity, like going without food for a period of time. One Dunedin man is tackling a unique spin on fundraising by stripping off and going for a run, which happened to be on one of the coldest days of the year so far.
Midwinter dips in the ocean are one thing, but running 30 k's in just your Speedos? With snow on the ground this week, Dunedin man Joe Cook took up the challenge of running from Portobello to the city as a fundraising exercise.
I decided to do it in my budgie smugglers, just a pair of sharks, my rugby club. Budgie smugglers just to have a bit of a laugh, be a bit different. So I just had the hat on and running shoes and the Speedos and skateboard for half of it.
Cook agrees it's a little bit crazy to run and skateboard along Portobello Road in his rugby club Budgie Smugglers, especially when it was freezing cold and snowing in Dunedin. His half-naked effort caught the attention of many passing motorists who snapped the undie runner. But he's happy his superhuman effort was all worth it, raising more than $1,000 to be split between the Cancer Society and the Mental Health Foundation.
Yeah, so on the day, it was a really cold day, I did it on, which I wasn't actually planning on, but it actually snowed on me at Portobello, so there's a lot of crooked heads and a few honks and whatnot from cars, a few waves and that, so yeah, it definitely was.
Cook says he knew a lot of people who did Dry July, but was keen to tackle something a little different to raise funds for charity. And despite freezing his bits off in a 30-kilometre exercise, he's thinking about doing it again. But will probably wait until the warmer months. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Dunedin businesswoman Oliver Tabor may not be a household name around town, but her business, Patties and Cream, has developed a strong following. After starting with a single ice cream van a few years back, she's now preparing to open her second store, a Central City diner.
Saturday morning marks a significant milestone for Dunedin ice cream queen Olive Tabor.
It actually works out really well for us to be doing an expansion in the middle of winter because it's still busy but not as crazy busy as the middle of summer. So, but sometimes you're not in control of the timing of when opportunities arise. So this is when it's happening, so we're just going with it.
Tabor's business, Patties and Cream, began as a homemade ice cream food truck in 2018. A few years later, she opened a scoop shop in Mornington just after the first COVID-19 lockdown. That proved a sweet success, and now she's preparing to open an ice cream diner after a suggestion by the landlord of the former Capers building in George Street.
I wasn't looking for a site. The landlord who owns this building actually approached me about it, and so it kind of came about out of nowhere. I wasn't actually thinking about really trying to find a location.
The new opening will almost double Tabor's workforce, and she's grateful she could find good hospitality workers while the industry's still facing difficulties.
And there is a hospitality staffing crisis, so that was another thing that's been has been keeping me up at night is am I going to be able to staff this, because this is a way bigger operation.
With 3 businesses now to juggle, she's planning to focus her energies on ensuring the Patties and Cream diner leaves a sweet taste in the mouths of customers, but isn't ruling out expanding to other South Island locations in the future. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Kia whaekine. Still to come on the South Today. Assistance in helping Otago's prodigious music history continue, with workshops for our next generation of talent, and piling on the pressure at the new Dunedin hospital build. See you soon.
evening. I'm from the Parks Department. Have you got a permit for that fire?
Strike gold at John's. John's taken 25 to 75% off everything store-wide. Plus paid off over 18 months interest-free.
And my mate John.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Welcome back. A geotechnical engineering team are busy analysing the piles for Dunedin's new hospital build. Tests are underway to see how much further the giant piles need to be driven into the ground and to test the size of the vibrations.
Testing the load-bearing capacity of the reinforced concrete piles for the construction of Dunedin's new hospital. This geotechnical engineering team are busy analysing 8 of the piles across the site to assess how firmly they've been bedded down.
What we're trying to do is get a cross-section of the site, so a spread of piles located in all parts of the site so that our data is valid for the whole building footprint.
The tests will help create a more accurate picture of how much further all 78 piles need to be driven into the ground before construction work gets underway. Most will eventually sit at a depth of about 17 metres before being cut off at ground level.
Once the piles are all driven, will form reinforced concrete pile caps and then ground beams, which will form a grid connecting all the piles together. So that's effectively the frame which forms the base of the building.
The pile driving team's already about 3/4 of the way through the job. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Cromwell College music students have been extending their skills thanks to a program through the New Zealand Music Commission. Producer and musician Jasmine Mary has been working with the teenagers, helping them develop their songwriting skills and learn about music technology.
Musician and producer Jasmine Mary is glad to be giving back to the next generation, visiting music students recently at Cromwell College.
It's just like the backbone of human existence, isn't it? So music and creativity is how we exist, and we can't do things without that.
The New Zealand Music Industry Commission invited Mary to visit schools to share a passion for creativity the folk noir musician has had for years. And during the 2-day visit, she shared her tips on composition, songwriting and the use of music technology. Cromwell College music teacher Kath Forsyth says the students are taking to the technology aspect of music creation.
And they're going to be so keen. I reckon next week they'll be really into it and doing things and really flying. And that's going to help their musical knowledge, because they have to know things about how to create a piece of music. You just don't put loops in and funny sounds. You actually have to make it sound like a song.
She says the New Zealand Music Industry Commission's been sending musicians for school visits every few years since 2015. Jasmine Mary is pleased to be helping inspire some of the country's young musicians, with her next project back on stage as the opening act for Reb Fountain at Dunedin's Glenroy Auditorium in mid-August. In Cromwell, the South Today. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today.
Calls for a long-term plan for Karatane Harbour from the Community Board after recent storm damage. Ice hockey playing police dog handler Regan Wilson has chalked up more than 150 games with the Dunedin Thunder Club. And Dunedin man Joe Cook has been turning heads after his exposure while tackling a charity fundraising exercise. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we welcome in our Deputy Editor Craig Page.
Good evening. All about local body elections in tomorrow's paper, as you can imagine. Nominations closing today, so we'll have a comprehensive list of candidates and a bit of insight into each of the councils and boards throughout our regions. So plenty there. Yeah, I guess plenty of interest in the mayoral races, particularly in Invercargill, Dunedin and Queenstown, where things look to be hotting up. So if you're sick of it already, bad luck. You've got a couple more months to go. We've also got a story about former Southland woman and Otago University student Anna Parson. She had a horrific 12-metre fall this week while rock climbing in the US. Broke almost every bone in her body, including her neck and spine, and obviously in a pretty bad way over them. She's got medical bills exceeding $1 million. So she did have some insurance, but it's only covering part of that. So there's a Give a Little page trying to help her out. So it'd be nice to get behind her. Yeah. Weekend mix. We take a look at the world of online shopping, from everything from groceries to that new outfit. And you can't forget sport as well. The Otago Nuggets up in the NBL semi-final tonight in Auckland against Nelson. The winner earns a spot in tomorrow's final, so we'll have updates on the website and a full wrap in tomorrow's paper on that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Craig.
Thank
you.
you.
See if we can help out that Give a Little page. And now a time for a look at tomorrow's weather.
The South Today weather, proudly brought to you by MoleMap, the skin cancer detection specialists.
Overall, a strong ridge of high pressure will lie over New Zealand this weekend, bringing fine, frosty weather to our region. A milder week lies ahead as the airflow coming from the north arrives on Monday. Heading to the top of the South Island, Nelson and Greymouth can expect fine weather with light winds and highs of about 13 or 14 degrees. Similar but cooler in Christchurch with a high of just 10 degrees. Moving to South Canterbury and North Otago, Ashburton, Timaru and Oamaru are all in for fine weather with light winds and highs of 9 or 10 degrees. Westwards now to the Central Lakes area, Wanaka, Queenstown and Alexandra can all expect fine weather with light winds, fine and frigid highs of just 3 to 5 degrees. Heading further south, it's fine weather with light winds and a high of 7 degrees for everyone at Balclutha, Gore and the Catlins. Down to the deep south now. Invercargill can expect some cloud tonight with an overnight low of 2 degrees. It'll become fine and sunny during the morning tomorrow with cold southerly winds dying out. The day's high is aiming for 8 degrees with a frosty overnight low of -4 degrees. It'll be fine and sunny on Sunday with light winds, cool temperatures, frosty again Sunday night with a high of 9 and a low of -3 degrees. And finally heading to Dunedin, where it'll be clear and cold tonight with frosts and an overnight low of -2 degrees. It should be mostly fine and sunny on Saturday and Sunday with scattered light cloud. There'll be a cool daytime temperatures on both days and it'll be very cold at night with heavy frosts. Saturday's high is 9 with an overnight low of -3 and similar on Sunday with a high of 10 and an overnight low of -3 degrees. And that's the news for this Friday. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.